All right, ready to dive in? Today we're tackling movies and TV shows.
Sounds fun.
It is. But we're going deeper than just like what to watch this weekend. This is all about how to talk about movies and TV, like a pro. In English, of course.
I like it. And get this, our source material is basically a podcast episode too.
Whoa, a deep dive on a deep dive.
Exactly. It's called English with Marco and Erica, and they're all about, well, teaching people to talk about movies and TV in English.
Some meta. What kind of stuff do they cover?
Well, they kick things off with, like, the essential vocabulary.
The must-knows.
Yeah. Think overrated, plot-driven, groundbreaking words that make you sound like a film critic.
Ooh, I love those.
Right? And they don't just, like, throw the words at you. They actually show you how to pronounce them correctly and how to use them, like, in a real conversation.
Makes sense. Because knowing the word is one thing, but using it naturally is a whole other level.
Totally. And Marco and Erica are all about that natural flow.
So, like, what are they actually talking about in this episode?
So Erica mentions she finished The Crown, and Marco's like, ooh, tell me more. They use phrases like, I'm really into, and top-notch, like typical ways people talk about stuff they like.
I use top-notch all the time. It's like my go-to compliment.
See? You're already speaking their language.
I guess so. What else? Do they get into, like, the nitty-gritty of movie discussions?
They do. They break down all those common expressions we use without even thinking. Like, you've got to see this, or it's right up your alley.
Oh, yeah. Those are, like, classic recommendation phrases.
Exactly. And Marco and Erica point out how important they are for, sounding natural and convincing people to watch your favorite stuff.
It's like a subtle art, isn't it? Recommending something well.
It is. They also touch on how those expressions, or even just like the way people talk about movies, can be different in different places.
Oh, like British English versus American English.
Yeah. They give an example, like someone in the UK might say, I fancy watching a film tonight. While in the US, it'd be, I feel like watching a movie tonight.
It's fascinating how those little differences pop up even within the same language.
It's like a window into different cultures, right?
Totally. So it sounds like Marco and Erica are doing way more than just teaching vocabulary. They're giving a glimpse into how language and culture intersect.
Absolutely. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's amazing how Marco and Erica managed to, like, squeeze so much into one episode.
I know, right? It's like they thought of every question someone could have about talking about movies and TV. Way more interesting than just reading a textbook, don't you think?
Oh, definitely. It's like you can't learn to swim just by reading about it, can you? You got to jump in.
Good point. And speaking of actually using what you learn, their thing about cultural differences really stuck with me. It's like language isn't just words, it's kind of a cultural fingerprint, too.
Right. Like how they talked about saying you want to watch a movie in the UK versus the US. It's subtle, but tells you a lot.
Exactly. It's like a secret code almost. But I'm wondering, is there even more we can learn from Marco and Erica? Something deeper?
Well, if we zoom out a bit, their way of teaching language actually connects to, like, good communication in general, not just movies.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
So, for instance, they really push using natural language, not stuffy academic words, right? That's useful for any conversation, not just about movies.
Yeah. You don't want people to feel like they're back in school being lectured at, right? Keep it real.
Exactly. And the way they focus on really listening to each other, having a back and forth, that's good for any relationship, whether you're talking about films or, I don't know, working on a project together.
It's like they're sneaking in life lessons while teaching us about movies. I love it. This deep dive is blowing my mind, honestly.
I know. It's like we're getting better at communication overall, not just talking about entertainment. Bonus.
Double win. It's like a reminder that language is powerful stuff. It connects people. It helps share ideas. It's kind of like a bridge between cultures.
Perfectly said. Finding common ground, even if you come from different places. That's what it's all about.
Before we go to the last part of our deep dive, anything else stand out to you about this English with Marco and Erica episode?
It's cool how they use real examples, stuff people recognize throughout the episode, not just abstract ideas.
Like mentioning The Crown. Everyone's obsessed with that show. It makes it feel, I don't know, more relatable. Like we're all in on the joke.
Like they're saying, hey, we're all part of this global conversation about entertainment. They're welcoming us in, not just teaching us.
I love that. Makes you want to grab a friend, watch something new, and try out all these phrases we're learning.
Speaking of trying things out, remember how Marco and Erica ended their episode? With a challenge.
Oh, yeah. The one where you got to pretend you're recommending your favorite movie.
Yep. Brilliant, right?
Yeah.
It's not just listening. You got to actually use what you learned, see what you can do with it.
Like a mini crash course in how to be persuasive.
Exactly. You're not just practicing English, you're thinking critically, you're learning how to express yourself better, like a secret communication boot camp.
All right, I'm pumped for the final act of this deep dive. Any last thoughts before we wrap up on English with Marco and Erica?
Okay, so we've really dug into Marco and Erica's style, how they talk about movies and TV, and honestly, they make learning language fun, don't you think?
Totally. It's like, who needs boring textbooks when you can just chat about the latest shows, right?
Right. Using stuff we all love, movies and TV.
Yeah.
Genius. It
Yeah.
makes it all feel so much more, I don't know, useful. Like you can actually use this stuff in real life.
It's like they're saying, hey, you can analyze a superhero movie, you can talk about anything. Finding that confidence is huge.
This whole deep dive has been eye-opening. We've gone beyond just language, haven't we? It's about culture, communication.
Oh, absolutely. It's like language is the key that unlocks all these different worlds and ideas and connections between people.
Love that. So as we wrap up English with Marco and Erica, what's the one big takeaway for our listener?
Hmm. I think the biggest thing is learning a language. It never really ends, you know? You're always growing, always finding new ways to use it. So true. And Marco and Erica, they give us such a good starting point, especially if we're talking about movies and TV, all those phrases, tips, cultural bits. Our listeners ready to jump into any conversation now.
They've got the VIP pass to the world of entertainment talk, for sure.
But here's a final thought I want to leave everyone with. We focus on the HOW of language, vocab, grammar, all that. But what about the power dynamics, you know? When we talk about movies, TV shows.
Ooh, interesting point. Like, why do some opinions matter more than others?
Exactly. Do we just believe any review we read? Why do we trust some people more? It goes beyond just the words themselves.
Like there's a whole nother level to think about. Entertainment isn't just watching. It's part of a bigger conversation, right?
So to our listener, as you keep practicing your English, keep watching those shows, think about that power dynamic. Who's deciding what's good or bad? Find your voice in all of it.
Such a good point to end on. It's about being more than just a viewer, right? Be a participant.
And hey, maybe someday, thanks to their English skills, they'll be the ones writing those reviews, influencing others.
Now that's a goal.
Hmm.
Language really can open so many doors.
This deep dive has been amazing, truly. We've learned so much, not just about English, but about how we communicate, how we see the world.
Couldn't agree more. Proof that learning never stops, especially when it comes to languages. It's a lifelong adventure.